Okay, so the season's coming to a close in a couple of weeks, and then we got the postseason, and then things get ramped up pretty quickly. Free agency, winter meetings, and everything else. I'm going to do my MLB trade free agent predictions coming soon. I'm working on that. So if you don't want to miss it and you're not subscribed to this channel, just hit that button and you won't miss it. I'm also going to give you every move that comes in free agency, whether it's Yankees or not, in winter meetings, after winter meetings, and everything else. But today I'm going to go over my trade predictions, my offseason trade predictions. If these guys get traded, this is where I think they're going to be traded to. And I think it's going to be a little bit busy or busier this offseason because free agent prices are going to be pretty high for a lot of players. The Cody Bellingers, the Shohei Otanis, and the rest of them. So I think teams are going to explore as much as they possibly can trades. So without further ado, let's get to it. These are the guys I think can and will likely be traded. Okay. First up, we got Jonathan India. I think he's going to move to the Cleveland Guardians for a package of prospects. And again, as much as I think it would be wise for the Reds to retain him, and build around Ellie De La Cruz because Ellie De La Cruz needs help. He can't do everything by himself, and he has come down to earth. And Jonathan India has got controllable years, so it'd be a wise idea to add to these guys like a Josh Bell I mentioned the other day, and maybe even some outfielders. But I do think Jonathan India gets moved, and if he does get moved, it's to the Cleveland Guardians. So, and they'll build around Jose Ramirez and the rest of this young dynamic nucleus over there too. And just like the Reds, I mean, they're sneaky good in the Central. Sneaky freaking good. Now, next up, Dylan Cease. I think he's going to go to the Baltimore. I have a feeling the Baltimore Orioles is going to be busy. I think they've clinched the playoffs. I think, and they have a top-rated farm system. I think they're going to use some of their prospects, not named Jackson Holliday and some of these other guys, to make a couple of moves to try to separate themselves or create some space between them and the rest of the American League East. Because I think they're going to, moving forward, they're going to want to continually contend. And Dylan Cease, again, he's got two more controllable years, giving him a frontline starter for that rotation that they desperately need, especially if they're going to be competitive in the American League and the American League East. Now, I said they're going to be busy. That's not the only move I think they're going to make. I also think they're going to acquire Pete Alonso from the Mets. I think there's been talk about Alonso being on the market and wanting to move on. Baltimore Orioles provide him a perfect opportunity to launch those home runs into that stadium over there, into those stands. And again, getting a tested player who has been known hitting the clutch in a tough market in New York, adding him to the Baltimore Orioles will not only increase that offensive machine, but bring some energy to the team too. You add him and Dylan Cease, that's a pretty damn good offseason for the Orioles. And I do think they'll make a couple other moves too. But I do think they're going to be busy in the trade market, more so than the free agent market this year. So imagine Alonso and Cease going to Baltimore. That would be freaking nuts. Next up, David Bednar, late inning reliever for the closer for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think this is the final. I think this is the time where he gets moved. I really do. And I see the Yankees making a move. I don't see the Yankees spending $100+ million on Josh Hader, as much as it would be exciting. I don't know if he'll even change his hair for hair policy and whatnot. But I do think bringing in somebody like David Bednar, he's got a couple more years, 2 more years on the cheap in arbitration before he gets expensive. When I do think the Yankees are going to invest in guys like Yamamoto from Japan and make a trade or two as well, and which will keep the cost down and allow them to invest in some other pieces. Like Yamamoto is going to be expensive, and if you can get David Bednar in a trade, then it allows them to continually make other moves. Because the fact is, and all Yankee fans know, they need to be busy this offseason. They need to make impactful moves and bring in the right guys. And we've had way too many implosions from guys like Tommy Kahnle and Clay Holmes, even though they've shown the ability to be brilliant. I think adding another firepower late inning, late reliever would be a wise idea for the Yankees. We can use Clay Holmes to set up for this guy, Bednar. So watch out. I think he's coming to New York, which means I also think the Yankees are going to make moves on the outward as well. We talked about this quite a bit. Now, I'm fine if Gleyber Torres gets a big extension here and stays here with the Yankees. But that said, they need multiple pitchers, and I don't think they're going to spend 50, 60 million bucks on starting pitching, which will make it more difficult for them to invest in the outfield and the other positions too. So I think they can move Gleyber Torres to Miami for one of those starters, whether it be Braxton Garrett, Edward Cabrera, or something like that, and make a multiplayer trade. So the Marlins have already said they want to invest in the infield. Well, Gleyber Torres gives them a controllable. He's got 1 more year before he's a free agent, and one of the best hitting second basemen in baseball. That said, the Yankees have a credible replacement who's getting playing time now in Oswald Peraza. So, and again, he's not having to replace 35, 40 home runs and all different other types of stuff. Moving him to the Marlins for a starting pitcher would be a good idea. If you can trade for a starting pitcher with controllable years and a closer with controllable years, oh, the Yankees are going to be in good shape. And they bring in that pitcher, Yamamoto. That means they have 2 starters and a closer now. They can focus on investing in left field. Next up, Corbin Burnes. There's been chatter about him to the Dodgers. I don't think the Dodgers are going to bring back Julio Urias because of his multiple arrests for domestic violence. Can't blame them. And they're kind of insinuating that they're kind of done with him. So what an upgrade Corbin Burnes would be there. Previous Cy Young Award winner who's still pitching like a stud. Okay. He's got an uncharacteristic low 3 ERA. He's generally in the 2s. So add Corbin Burnes to that starting rotation. Even if they don't bring back a Clayton Kershaw or something like that, you add Burnes to that rotation. That's a big time move for the Dodgers, and I can see the Dodgers doing that, especially if they want to compete and win the NL West. Okay. Next up, Tyler Glasnow. Yeah, starting pitcher from the Rays. Been kind of showing to be pretty good again, and I do think the Milwaukee Brewers will want to add a starting pitcher, especially if they lose a Corbin Burnes to the Dodgers. This is an opportunity for them to use some of their prospects and send them to Tampa Bay, which does a good job at developing prospects and trading for prospects. You send Glasnow to the Brewers. That's a nice little addition over there. Nice little addition for that rotation. So, and they're kind of in the up, they're on the upswing. They're consistently contending for the NL Central title. So, adding a starter like Glasnow would help in their cause. So, Glasnow got going to Milwaukee. Now, other teams that I think are going to be busy are the Padres. I think they're going to lose Blake Snell in free agency. So, why not bring in somebody like Logan Gilbert, who's got 3 or 4 more controllable years on the cheap? And getting a guy here with controllable years on the cheap would help in their cause, since they're spending so much money and since they're going to try to do their best to retain Juan Soto, right? They might lose Hader. They might lose Snell. And they're going to try their darndest to keep Soto here. And they're going to need money to be able to afford it. They've got a lot of expensive players. Okay. So Logan Gilbert, I see him being moved to San Diego for a package of prospects. And speaking of San Diego, speaking of Juan Soto, I have him staying. I don't have them trading. They're going to try their darndest again to try to move him. To try to keep him and sign him to a big deal in the offseason. And they're going to need money, which is why I think they're going to let Blake Snell walk and trade for a cheaper starting pitcher, which frees up money for Juan Soto. Okay, and I think this would be the move for them to try to keep him and try to up him on a big deal at the end of the season. So those are my trades, okay, that I think can or probably will happen if these guys are traded. Let me know what you think. Load up the comments. Can you think of other trades? Do you want to see other trades? This is where it's going to get a lot of fun, right? And we don't know what the Angels are going to do now that Shohei Ohtani just left the building, and you got freaking Anthony Rendon, who's playing on an injury here, disrupting, just ignoring the media and whatnot. So, and they want to keep Mike Trout, right? So, what are they going to do? We have no idea what to expect from the Angels. So, expect them to be busy in free agency, maybe even a trade market too. But those are my trades. I think these are good trades. I think these are trades that can help the team and get value back for the team that's sending their player out. I think they make sense, but you let me know either way whether you think they make sense or don't make sense. Okay, and let's get into it, gang. Be ready, because my MLB free agent predictions are coming soon, and we'll be live during the winter meetings to get you in on every piece of intel that comes in. But in the meantime, I'll keep you updated all along the way of everything that comes in. Peace.